My name is Guy Alberghini. This is a broadcast of the United States Constitution. Each broadcast will cover a very small section of the Constitution, policies that go against that section of the Constitution, as well as possible solution or solutions. If you just go along with the bad policies, then you agree with them. And if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Hi, welcome back to the broadcast. My name is Guy Alberghini. As I've been telling you for a while now, get in touch with your local leaders, state leaders, and your federal leaders. Today it's again on the state level. We have candidate for a state representative in the district, Lynne Archambault. So welcome, Lynne.
Thank you, Guy. Thanks for having me.
And on the ticket isn't actually representative, right? It's like general court.
Yes, correct. Right.
Which could confuse people.
It could, but typically they'll see the name, and so they'll usually figure it out.
Yeah, so what I'd like to ask candidates first is, what is your why?
My why, I am, well, I grew up in Pepperell, and I raised my family in town. So I love this district. I've lived here most of my life. It means a lot to me. I started my own business in Pepperell, Arch Fitness. I ran it for 15 years. I recently sold it. And I've been a realtor in the district. I became a teacher about 10 years ago at North Middlesex High School. And I followed my passion. I wanted to help kids. I have my master's in health and wellness education. And so I wanted to really work with kids. And then seeing what the public schools deal with and the mandates placed on the public schools, however, Massachusetts not funding those mandates, talking to people in the district, hearing how seniors are struggling to pay property taxes because every single town in our district had to have a Prop 2.5 override, some more than once. And it's very, very frustrating that Massachusetts, which is such a wealthy state, is not funding our public schools. It's not helping out the First Middlesex district. The funds we get are, one-time grants here and there, little crumbs, our hospital closing. So my why is really to help this district, to stand up for this district.
Okay, and maybe let the audience know the towns in the district.
Yes, so the towns in the district, Groton, Dunstable, Pepperell, Ashby, Townsend, and Lunenburg.
Okay, so that was a very good intro. And have you thought of any things you'd like to make bills that would help out constituents?
I think the first thing we need to take a look at that is really troublesome right now, Massachusetts has spent $1.8 billion that's going into the budget, will be spent on illegal migrants that have come to Massachusetts because of our right to shelter law. And the spending is now out of control. And I want to make it very clear, I am not anti-immigration. I'm pro-immigration. I have many relatives who were immigrants, including my sister-in-law, my son-in-law. And so that's not it at all. But our right to shelter laws, when people come here and then we have to shelter them, it's costing a fortune. For example, a family of 4 migrants that have come to Massachusetts, we are paying $92,000 a year just for their food, just to feed them. I know many teachers don't make $92,000 a year. So this is a real problem for not only Massachusetts, but our district as well. So one of the things I'd like to work on is amending that right to shelter law. It came into existence for some good reasons to help the most vulnerable in our community, like single moms, people on hard times. But right now, it's putting our whole state in jeopardy. We funded 1.8 billion for illegal migrants while only giving 1.3 billion to the 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts in local aid.
And
That's
I
not
think,
right.
on top of what they get from the federal level.
Correct. Yeah. So
Yeah, well, I certainly don't make that.
it's a real, it's a real burden, and so that's one of the things we need to take a look at first, so that we can then expand on that and say our funding for our schools needs to be reevaluated. Our formula for funding our schools needs to be different. It's antiquated. For example, Groton, Dunstable, and North Middlesex, well, there's funding for our schools, and there's also the busing portion of it for regional schools. So North Middlesex and Groton, Dunstable have issues with the busing formula. We have to pay 1 seat per kid. It's costing us a fortune, and not many kids actually ride the bus, at least in high school. A lot of parents drive their kids. A lot of kids drive themselves in high school. Yes, should they have busing available? Yes, but the state needs to help us fund this. They told us they would fund our busing if we became regionalized, and now they don't, and that's just wrong. So
Isn't North Middlesex like always regionalized?
North Middlesex became regionalized, I believe, in the 1958.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was one of the things. If you become a regional school district, we'll fund the busing 100%. And I'm sure the same thing happened with Groton, Dunstable. So,
Yeah.
so those are, 3 things I can think of off, the top of my head. There was an amendment, put on the House floor to make veterans a priority for housing. Veterans who have fallen on harsh times, and my opponent did not vote for that. So I am a big,
Did she not vote, or did she vote against it?
She voted against it. So I'm a big supporter of veterans. My grandfather was one of the first ones to start the VFW in Pepperell. My grandmother was the first president of the Ladies Auxiliary in Pepperell, and it means a lot to me. So veterans mean a lot. They've, given us a lot, and they deserve that. So I also would like to see that happen.
Yeah, and then on top of that, there's the MBTA high-density housing.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, that's, again, this is the state of Massachusetts kind of tying our hands to different things, saying, we're going to give you your money if you do these things. And it's just putting a huge burden on a lot of the small communities who, even the ones who don't have transportation in them, but they're abutting the towns. So it's very problematic.
That's like every town in the district except for maybe Ashby.
Pepperell is not, it doesn't, Pepperell,
It has to be like 5 miles.
yeah. No, Ashby, I think, is one of the MBTA communities. Groton is as well. Pepperell is not in that. And I'm not 100% sure of Dunstable and Groton. I mean,
Yeah,
Dunstable.
Dunstable's pretty close to the Nashua line.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they're within the 5 miles there.
Again, Massachusetts tying the hands of his citizens, saying, we'll give you this money, that's your money that you've paid us if you do these things. And it's really difficult to do that.
Yeah, so on my computer at home, I have, many proposals drafted up. That's one of them, to get through the State House to deal with that. So the state can't say, no, you can't have the funding if you don't do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we touched on the veterans. The veterans definitely should be high priority. You know,
If you watch, like if you watch any TV, you'll see commercials, different things supporting our veterans. There's all kinds of Wounded Warrior Project, Tunnels to Towers project. There's all these different things. But really, if you look at it, isn't it sad that our government isn't already handling all these things? And that these organizations have to be around to help out our veterans. Shouldn't our government already be doing that for these people who have laid their life out and their families have, given up a lot too? So, yeah.
as families go through just their spouse being overseas, their dad or mom being overseas
Yeah.
for a long amount of time,
Yeah, it's hard on it's hard on families.
and they come back and say, no, you have problems, we're not going to take care of you.
Right. Right. I've talked to many people who are still even struggling today with their spouses having Agent Orange poisoning. I just recently spoke with one who her husband passed last year, obviously older, right? Because it was Vietnam. And she said it was a struggle. It was a struggle getting him the help he needed. And that's just sad.
And then you have, well, the homeless in general, maybe not so much in this district, but certainly in others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You just in Boston, driving into the city, the surrounding communities. Geez, I even drove to Maine a few months ago. I was shocked in Maine, even in some of the cities, the homeless population. It's just, it's really a sad state. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I believe it was in Western Carolina that because these people are homeless because of the storm, they're threatening to take the kids away, which is, horrible on top of everything else.
Very horrible. Tragic.
Yeah, so transparency. Now, where do you want to go on that?
Massachusetts is consistently rated one of the least transparent governments in the country. We need more transparency. So if people say to me, well, how did this rep vote or how did this senator vote? You can't find them very easily. It's very challenging to find out how they voted. It should not be that way.
Yeah.
These, representatives, senators represent the people, and we should be able to see how they vote. That way we know who to vote for. So I feel like that's just a very simple ask. How did they vote? How are my representatives voting?
And for the state, it should be on mass.gov so you can easily search.
It should be easily searched on mass.gov. It is not easily searched at all. It is very difficult for the common regular person to just look it up. You really have to know what you're doing and how to look for it. You have to search the bill. It's very challenging.
You have to hit the right newspaper at the right time.
Yes, sometimes certain newspapers will publish it, but sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So yes, it's really hard. And there also is a bill, a question number 1, which is to audit the legislature. And I believe that should be done.
Okay, so audit exactly where all the funds are going?
It will be an audit, yes, to see where the funds are going. And yeah, it should be done. We should have more transparency in our government.
Yeah, all the way around. And one thing I like to see happen is, like on the federal level, if like 30% of the reps co-sponsor a bill automatically goes to the floor for a vote, or scheduled to go to the floor for a vote. In Massachusetts, it doesn't happen that way. It's up to the House and Senate presidents
To make that decision.
on what they're going to vote on. Even if there's like overwhelming support, they could say, no, we're not doing it.
Right, right. And you know, that leads us to another problem in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts, you know, I love Massachusetts. I grew up here, but we don't, and I believe in a two-party system. We do not have a two-party system in Massachusetts. We need more balance in our legislature. So even the Boston Globe, which is very left-leaning, said that Democrats even believe that our legislature is ineffective because it's a supermajority. So we need some more balance. We need, you know, we need that give and take and feedback, and it just makes for a better state.
Yeah, and then hold each other accountable, really debate issues, and just instead of just passing things through.
Correct. Right. Or getting pressure to pass things through. If you vote this way, you get this stipend. Passing things through to get their stipends.
Yeah, or the bonus. And so, anything else you'd like to cover?
Let's see. I think I would just like to talk about too that you know, our community, Massachusetts, people are leaving Massachusetts. Business owners are leaving Massachusetts. Young people are leaving Massachusetts to find jobs. And we need to make Massachusetts a better place to work in. So it's rated one of the worst states to do business in. And look at New Balance, which is a Massachusetts company. It just left 12 miles over the border, Londonderry, New Hampshire, and built a $70 million facility.
Used to be right in Brighton.
Yes. And we can't afford to lose businesses like that because of our taxes. We need businesses to grow here, to thrive here, so we can have young people work here, raise families here, buy homes here. So I think that making it a more business-friendly environment is something really important that we need to do.
Yeah, like many years ago, there was lots of businesses along 128 and 495.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those businesses left, and some hotels went up in the area, but
Yes.
which employs a certain amount of people.
Right.
But it's not the technology center it used to be.
I mean, look at even Bill Belichick from the Patriots, and the Boston Celtics even said, we can't get, some recruits are saying they want to go other places because of the taxes. The millionaire's tax, it does affect a lot of those big businesses, and moving out is going to cost people jobs.
And not too long ago, they attached property to that, I believe. So if you're in the town where your house is worth like $600,000, doesn't take much more to get to the million.
It doesn't take much more to get to $1 million at all around here in Massachusetts for houses closer to the city too. Absolutely. But, you know, I was just in Pepperell the other day meeting with Rick Green, the CEO of 1A Auto, and a thriving, growing business in our community. He bought the mill property in Pepperell, and it took him 10 years to break ground.
Wow.
10 years
Some of
of
it's
red
probably had to
tape.
do with the EPA.
It did, but he did all that, but a lot of it, he said, was just a lot of red tape and kind of BS that he had to deal with. And we're lucky that he wants to be here in our community so bad, because many businesses like his are just saying, fine, I'll just go to New Hampshire, or I'll go somewhere else where they want me to go. So Yeah.
So what is he looking to build there?
He's building a big video center. So their big YouTube, they have, oh gosh, I can't remember how many YouTube videos they have, but how to fix cars and car parts. Yeah, it's great. So it's a huge, huge building.
And I believe he grew up in, him and his brother grew up in Pepperell.
Yes, yes, they did.
And the company was in, I think, Littleton?
So as they were growing and they expanded, they were in Pepperell and they were trying to find, so they bought the mill property because they wanted to expand, put their headquarters there. But because it was taking so long, they had to move some of it to Littleton or Westford or right on the line there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, what else is on your mind?
I think that's on my mind. I think, I really want to let people know that my experience being a small business owner, being a teacher, working in corporate America, I was a sales operations manager for an IBM partner, being a mom, a new grandmother. I really have a strong feel for this district. I can see things from different perspectives, and I understand what this district needs, and I'm not afraid to stand up and speak for the First Middlesex District. And in 2 years, my opponent has never once spoken on the House floor, and for our district. And we need someone who's not afraid to stand up and say, the First Middlesex District is here and we matter. We need health care in our district. We've closed our hospital and it's not right. Massachusetts could have saved our hospital.
Yeah.
But we fell through the cracks and they did not care. So.
Yeah, they were more interested in funding a few Boston ones instead of out here that was, well, in trouble for many years.
Yeah. Yep. So I will stand up for the First Middlesex District, and I look forward to the opportunity to doing so. If anyone wants to contact me or get more information, they can go to my website at vote, VOTE, 4, that's the number 4, Lynne, LYNNE.com, voteforlynne.com.
Okay, and you're hitting the pavement hard, I know that.
I have been hitting the pavement hard. I've done about 4,000 doors myself.
Wow.
That's not counting my, volunteers have been out there as well. But since the spring, I've been hitting the doors and wearing out some shoes and putting a lot of miles on my car. But it's important to meet the voters, to listen to their concerns, and, that's been a good experience. Challenging, but a good experience.
Yeah, when I ran for town position, I loved going door to door talking to people.
Some people really like that. At first I was like, oh my gosh, but now it's sort of like I kind of enjoy it. And most people generally are really nice about it, receptive about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They appreciate you coming to their door and, giving information or being
Because
available.
hear what they're thinking about also.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. Yes. I mean, from people talking about, seniors talking about their property taxes and how they might have to move out of the district to, people in Lunenburg that had a house on the lake for so many years and all of a sudden in a year their taxes doubled. People are, they're struggling. They're struggling out there.
Yeah.
So.
No, Groton, lots of people are forced out because of the high taxes.
Yeah. And, for seniors too, there's not a lot of places, senior housing, for them to go that's affordable
Yeah.
when you're living on a fixed income. Yeah. So.
Okay, so is that it, or you have something else?
I think that's it, unless you have any other questions for me.
Well, get in touch with Lynne through the website and, say hi to her when you see her in your neighborhood. So if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And if you just go along with bad policies, then you agree with them. See you next broadcast.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching this broadcast. As it says at the beginning of the preamble, we the people. That's you, that's myself. Are you part of the solution or part of the problem? One way to tell is if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. So call, email, meet with your reps and senators, local leaders, tell them what they should be doing. They govern with the consent of the governed, and if you don't tell them what to do, it's implied that you agree with them and they're doing what you want them to do. So thank you very much again, and look forward to seeing you during the next broadcast.